This Diocese of Houma Thibodeau program is brought to you by Crosby Tugs.
So the way that I came to the U.S. or came to our diocese as a seminarian happened or began in 2006. It happened when Father Mark, who was vocations director at that time, was invited by a bishop that he knew from the Philippines to come and recruit some of the seminarians there. And I was one of those that was given the privilege to have an interview with him. So I came. So he came to the Philippines, and we had an interview, we had a meeting, and I think it went great. I felt like I did well in the interview. I did well in my conversations with Father Mark. And so at the end of it, Father Mark said that he's going to come back here and he's going to let me know if we're going to proceed forward with me and two other seminarians about coming here to the U.S. And so that was in August of 2006, and then he departed after that. And then after that, there was a month passed, and then another month passed, and another month passed, and I found myself like around December, and I'm starting to get antsy because I haven't heard anything, not even a word from this with regards to this application. And so I talked to that local bishop because I knew him very well, and he said, well, maybe just wait because, I don't have to come here, or schools doesn't start until the August of the next year. And so maybe there's still some, so just kind of wait. And so I did, I tried, but then I started to again get antsy about it, really kind of getting impatient that I haven't heard anything, and started to wonder what's going on here. And, in the meantime, I was just trying to study what the diocese looks like, what the whole thing is going to be looking like for me, what this place is going to be, and what my being a seminary is, where the seminary, all that. Like, I have all of those information ready for me to just kind of live into when I get here, but I still haven't heard about this. And so I really got so impatient that I again went back to this bishop, and I told him, and he said, look, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, but maybe what you need to do right now is maybe to pray more about it, to just maybe do novenas, do a retreat, but really pray about what it's going to look like, because you're not just going to be going to a different place. You are leaving your country without any possibility of being able to come back and visit anytime. So he said, maybe pray about it, do a retreat, all of those kind of things. And I did, and it really helped a lot, so much more that when I finally heard from Father Mark about this application, my heart was ready to really be able to come here, not just physically, not just mentally, but even spiritually, because I was able to receive a lot from those times of prayer, times dedicated to retreats, and just time to really reflect about this decision and about this kind of lifestyle. And so, in other words, the bottom line with that experience for me was that in hindsight, I realized just the power and grace of waiting. That had that bishop not tell me, to truly pray as I wait and to be able to just receive from the Lord, it would have been a different response for me, a different reaction. But I found there just the grace and the power of waiting, just the wisdom of learning how to wait. And as I've kind of reflect on that, it helps me to also have this deeper understanding, this deeper realization and reflection of what's going on in the gospel reading today, especially about why Jesus says that Mary chose the better part over Martha. And, it always makes us wonder, what is it about what Mary did that was the better part, that Jesus said this is better than what Martha was doing? Well, let's kind of look into the gospel reading. So Jesus just arrived at the house of Martha and Mary. And Martha immediately went and served the Lord. She immediately went, maybe fed him, make sure he feels comfortable, and just did everything she had to do to be able to welcome him, which is a great sign of hospitality. But Mary just sat at his feet, and she just sat there and she just listened. And then Jesus told Martha that Mary chose the better part. I think the better part that Jesus was referring to here is that Mary chose to wait for him, chose to listen to him, and chose to receive from him. And I think in that particular scene, what Jesus meant by the better part was that Mary chose to wait for him to tell her how she can best respond to his presence, how she can best respond to him coming into their lives, coming into their homes. Because I think that while there's nothing wrong with what Martha did, it's a great sign of hospitality. She went and served him, but maybe that's not what he wants from her. Maybe that was not the response that he desired from Martha. There's nothing wrong with what Martha did. But maybe that's not the kind of response that he's desiring from Martha. Maybe if Martha had also chosen, like Mary, to sit down and to receive from him, to listen to him, then maybe she would have been able to really realize what is it that the Lord desires from her, the best way for her to respond to the Lord's presence and arrival in their lives. Because sometimes it's not just about doing. Sometimes it's more about just listening and being able to receive. And sometimes that's the best response we can get to the Lord. And I think that many of us, there's a stirring in our hearts as we kind of listen to that and as we reflect on that, because there's a temptation to many of us, me included, especially me, that when we hear from the Lord or when we feel the Lord speaking to us, we immediately take action. We immediately jump into action and try to do something to respond to that. But sometimes what the Lord desires is just for us to continue to listen, to just continue to receive from him. Because there he can reveal to us the best way that we can respond to what he's offering in our lives. And I think that that's just a great reminder for us today that there's nothing wrong with taking action when the Lord speaks to us. But sometimes the best response is always to just wait and listen to him. And so maybe we can keep this in mind, that maybe the next time the Lord stirs up something in our hearts, maybe when we are tempted to immediately jump into action, maybe just sit back, pray more with it. Ask for the grace of waiting, because waiting is a grace. And in that waiting, ask the Lord to reveal so that as he speaks to you, then he can tell you the best way to respond to it. And there will be more graces when you respond in the way that he wants that.
This Diocese of Houma Thibodeau program has been brought to you by Crosby Tugs.